First and foremost, thank you for being here. I mean, such an honor. Stand in front of such great crowds and being able to advocate for something that I truly cares about. Well, I can tell by some of your faces that some of you are shocked by the amount of makeup I'm investing on my face right now. I mean, masculinity and makeup doesn't really go hand in hand, does it? I ask myself that, why? And the answer always seems to be repeated. It's just simply that I'm a man. Shocking. As a gay man, I often get criticized for my lifestyles, but even worse, I am a gay man who is exceptionally obsessive with makeup. I mean, you know, just a little here and there. Like seriously, y'all, I'm obsessed with makeup. Y'all can find me on Sephora at any hours of the day. Girl, I'll be there. For those who don't know what Sephora is, let me give you a quick lesson. Sephora is basically the fancy place where your girlfriend probably wanted you to buy her Valentine's Day gift stuff from, but instead you got her flowers that died in 3 days. Back to the point. I get teased a lot, and people always ask me, why do I feel the need to wear makeup? Like, do I have anything to hide underneath? You see, these people hold the preconceptions about me without realizing the reality is just, I'm being myself. Society always condemns what is different. It oppresses minorities and only let that little and tiny one group thrive. But luckily, we're living in an age where it is not okay for anyone to be oppressed simply because they celebrate their individualism. There are movement after movement out there fighting for the chance of social equality and demanding that social justice must be brought to the light. That's why I'm here today. I'm here to advocate a movement that I truly believed in. It gave me the courage to be myself, and it gave me the courage to stand here to speak to you. I would like to speak to you about intersectional feminism. So, as a quick show of hand, how many of you understands and believe in the philosophy of feminism? I can't really see much because of the light, but I'm assuming that it's a great amount of people who actually understands it. For those who don't, feminism is a social movement that aims to define and establish a social, economic, and personal equality for both sexes. Started in the 19th centuries and the early 20th centuries, feminism was born as a combat tactics against gender discriminations. It gives women the rights to vote, to hold public offices, to earn fair wages, but I think most importantly, the right to receive an education. However, as we move forward, the complexity of gender discrimination thickens, and the war against gender inequality is no longer a dilemma for only males or females, but rather a common problem if you're considered a minority within your community. In the 1900s, a group of feminists started recognizing the bigger image of discriminations and the potential to further strengthen the feminist movement by simply recognizing that the prejudice against race, sex, religion, age, class, ability, and age are all worthy battle to be fought. A new feminism branch was born under the name Intersectional Feminism. And now I would like to go into a quick history lesson on intersectional feminism. Yes, I know that history can be a little boring, but let's bear with me here, okay? Renowned scholars and race-critical theorists Kimberly Crenshaw introduced the terms in 1989 in her paper, Demarginalizing the Intersections of Race and Sex, a Black feminist critiques on anti-discrimination doctrines, feminist theories and anti-racism policy. She shines a light on the problem of exclusions of Black women from mainstream anti-discrimination policy. And she also pointed out that in her times, the feminist theories were simply not efficient enough. By just only including Black women in an already established structures, to Crenshaw, any analysis that does not take intersectionality into an account can simply not address the manner in which Black women are oppressed. This attracted many readers. It breaks the boundaries and include things like racism into the feminist movement. People start then to realize that asking for equality between men and women are simply not enough. They wanted to dig deeper and divide those men and women into different categories and solve each of the problem one by one. As an example, if a white lady and a Black man both came into the same office and applied for the same jobs, who would you think would get the job? Sadly, society have its own answer, and throughout history, it's been proven that the chance of the white lady getting the job is so much higher than the Black men. But isn't it funny? Aren't men allegedly supposed to be more capable, smarter, and more intelligent than women? Then why did he not get the job if he is above a woman? You see, it's no longer that he's a man, and his sexuality doesn't play into an account within this decision, but rather the color of his skin. He's Black, and that could potentially deny him the chance of earning a living. But race is not just the only problem that intersectional feminism describes. Sexualities also play a very important role. If now we were to compare a straight woman to a gay man, who do you think will be more privileged? They both are privileged. However, they both face their own discriminations. For a gay man, he gets the benefits of being a male, so male privilege. However, he'll be marginalized for his sexuality. But for a straight woman, she gets the benefits of heterosexuality, of privilege, but she still will be facing sexism. And that's the reason why intersectional feminism exists. It gives the voice to the minority, to those who are unspoken, and identify the things that have not been brought to the light, those that are a little too hard to see. I know, I kind of think what y'all thinkings are, is an intersectional feminism basically another fight for human rights? Y'all are definitely correct if you think it in that way. However, just let me guide you further down the road. Intersectionality means looking at people, the intersections of people identities. It's a type of feminism that takes a look at how different people from different backgrounds experience oppressions. To put this into an analogy, intersectional feminism is basically shining a light through a social prism and identifying all of the different wavelengths. It's a fight for social equality. A human rights movement would ask questions such as, how many people are not being educated and how many people are being educated? And that is the inequality within education in a human rights perspective. However, for intersectional feminism, we ask things that are deeper. Things like, how are people being educated? Are those educated actually equal? If we were to look at the continuum of education rate within the United States of America, we'll be able to witness that predominantly Caucasians have a better chance at receiving higher quality educations than their Black or Hispanic counterpart. To visualize this point, I would like to take a look at a graph. This graph shows the percentage of enrollment in university or college or simply getting a master's degree by each race. And as you can see, just through a quick glance, the age range is from 18 to 24. So we can safely assume that this graph shows the percentage of enrollment in university, college, or getting a PhD. So they're all considered high quality educations. They're higher than standards and they simply provide you with more information. Just through a quick glance through the graph, it is very much clearly seen that Black and Latinos are two races who experience the least amount of students into university while the Asians are the highest. Shocking. Asian highest grade. However, if you take a look at the whites, they are above average, while the Black and Latinos aren't. And yes, Asians are way, way above average. However, you have to take it into an account that education is a very important role within the Asian community. They value education, and that's their pride and joy. So it's really not shocking that every single Asian family will try to get their kids into university or college, and that's the reason why that their rate might have been higher than other races. That's why I want to just take a look at the first three races. Both Black and Latinos are under average enrollment rates. The reason why the education rates or the higher education rate for Black and Latinos are so low is due to the lack of funding and support they get when they were in high school or in standard school. If we were to compare a public school in a white neighborhood against a public school in a Black neighborhood, you'll be able to witness the difference between some funding systems and the facility of the white against the Black. There's a common funding system within the United States called property tax. And considerably, the property tax is somewhat the root of inequality funding within the states. This system works by collecting tax from the citizens based upon the property that they own. So the value of your house, the car that you drive, and the neighborhood that you're surrounded by is the determined factors of how much tax you have to pay. Which means that nicer neighborhood pay more taxes than places that are considered in poverty. At first glance, this system somewhat seems reasonable. However, there is a downside to it. Neighborhood that pays more money get better funding. So they have better facility and life is somewhat enjoyable. While the one that doesn't weigh at the same value as their rich counterparts are just left behind. When a neighborhood is consistently, predominantly consists of people of color, the value of their property tends to wage down. And because of that, they don't pay as much tax, which leads them to experiencing the lack of funding from the government, as well as little recognitions from their state government. Most Black and Hispanic kids drops out of high school to either get married or get a job simply because they come from a low-income family that might not have the chance to send them into university, or that they're simply not being supported to actually step ahead further. This is an alarming situation because kids who came from this rough backgrounds will not likely become blue-collar worker. So jobs like flipping burgers and mowing grass are somewhat their best options. And that's inequality. just because of the property of values surrounded by you can determine where you can go in your life. Intersectional feminism points out those mistakes, and they reach in depth. Instead of asking for equal educations for all, which these kids are simply receiving, we dig deeper and ask that education systems across the globe should be all equal. Discrimination doesn't just happen to a group of people. It can happen to anyone, to even you, and yeah, you. When it happens in a larger scale, it's more visibly seen. However, when it takes an effect on individuals, it's not as clearly. I once has faced my own situation where I became a minority and was treated differently. So, there was a cosmetic brand opening in the local shopping centers, and I was invited, So I came, and at first glance, I was so incredibly excited just to walk myself in there and just get those things. I mean, man, I was through the roof. But when I got there, I saw a line, so I started standing in line. I waited for about 20 minutes, and when it was my turn to get my foundation shade match, I stood there for around 5 minutes without any recognitions from the staff at all. I was a bit, mad. So I went up to the counters and simply asked, "Hey, can I get my foundation shade match, please?" One of the staff just turned around and very casually replied, "I don't think someone like you would buy makeup." Was I offended? Yeah. However, I wasn't a 3-year-old kid, so I walked away and probably never coming back. But it shows me that within that moment, I became a minority. The moment I stepped into that store and was surrounded by women, I am a minority. We all can become a minority. The moment we left our comfortable space and entered a different atmosphere, we're automatically a minority. We're the newbie, we're the standout, but most importantly, we can become a target for discriminations. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why I'm here, just to simply ask you to speak up about things that you feels like socially doesn't fit. The more we actively talk about them, the more solution we'll be able to find. So I want to just leave you on a note. No matter where you are in life, no matter what situation you're in, whether you're being discriminated against or you're witnessing someone being discriminated against, please always remember, as a global community, we simply can't be silent. Thank you.